Good afternoon. Our second keynote speaker is a full Professor 6 from De La Salle University, Manila. He finished his Bachelor in Philosophy, Licentiate in Philosophy, and Bachelor of Sacred Theology from the Ecclesiastical Faculty of University of Santo Tomas, all with magna cum laude honors. He got an MA in Philosophy degree from UST Graduate School with a Meritorious honor. He also studied linguistics in UST and later in UP, where he found in the literature department a strong tradition of Marxism and critical theory. In 2004, he got a PhD in Philippine Studies from UP. From 1994 to 2008, he was a professor of philosophy in San Beda College in Jola, where he played a vital role in envisioning their philosophy program to become the country's center for critical theory. In 2008, he transferred to De La Salle University, College of Liberal Arts, where he was Vice Dean, Director of Research and Advanced Studies Office, and now Director of University Research Coordination Office of the said university. Our speaker already published 4 books written in Filipino and in English. 3 of them got book awards from the LSU. He is also an author of numerous articles written in Filipino, English, and Cebuano, published in local and international academic journals. Ladies and gentlemen, to deliver his keynote address titled A Humboldtian Critique of Philippine Higher Education, let's all welcome Professor Petronilo A. Demeterio III, PhD. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, my fellow Thomasians and fellow scholars of philosophy. I feel so honored to be invited in my alma mater to deliver one of the keynote speeches for our reunion this year. I am a great devotee to this reunion. I'm not sure if I have attended all of the 5 events so far, but I am definitely sure that I was present at least 4 of these reunions. I entitled my talk, A Humboldtian Critique of the Philippine Higher Education. The materials that I'm going to use are taken from an ongoing book project on the 6 leading research productive universities of the Philippines: UST, Ateneo de Manila University, UP Manila, UP Los Baños, De La Salle University, and UP Diliman. It is funded by my home university now, De La Salle University, after I was expelled from San Beda College. My talk is about a revolution in higher education that happened in Germany and that impacted the higher educational institutions in many parts of the world. But these remain mostly unheard of in the Philippines. Something so great, but it never reached our shores. I suspect, I'm talking to Rene now, and I said maybe 2016 in CMO 52, at last Humboldt reached the Philippines. 2016, December. But we're not sure what would happen. What would happen with that CMO? I was led to this topic not mainly by my administrative task as a research manager in De La Salle University. I'm a manager. I'm managing the internal research projects of the faculty members of De La Salle University. But my topic today was, I stumbled on this topic because of my search for the answer to the question, why is Filipino philosophy underdeveloped? To a large extent, my talk today, while it will dwell on the fundamental shortcomings of Philippine higher education, will also answer the question that was raised by many scholars of Philip convinced the Prussian government to implement such master plan. He was in the right moment. Humboldt's sources of inspirations, models, and collaborators were Göttingen University, one of the leading German universities at the time, where research was seriously pursued by the professors. It must be noted that Humboldt studied in this university. University of Vienna, also one of the leading German universities at the time, where academic freedom flourished and where great intellectuals congregated. Humboldt also worked and researched in this university. The philosopher Immanuel Kant, who proposed that the faculty of philosophy should be at the heart of the university, as it is the faculty that can manage and critique knowledge. Humboldt mastered the philosophy of Kant while he was still in Göttingen University. The philosophers, men of letters, scientists and philologists, Johann Gottlieb Fichte, Friedrich Schelling, Heinrich Steffens, and Friedrich Schleiermacher, who already penned down some sketches on the Reformed German University. Schleiermacher, if you are studying hermeneutics, you know this is the same Schleiermacher. And he was the one who implemented Humboldt's revolution when the latter became the Prussian ambassador to Vienna. So he was not there when the University of Berlin was founded. Humboldt was no longer there. That was how fast he created that university. He created the plan, and he disappeared, and you have the University of Berlin. The social, cultural, historical, and political context where Humboldt synthesized and effected his educational revolution may be characterized by the following elements. Prussia, that was defeated and humiliated by France. This prompted the Prussians to clamor for social-political reforms in their territory. So we can say now, we don't have a real research university in the country because we are poor. You remember that when the research university was founded by Humboldt, was created by Humboldt, Prussia was not rich. It was defeated by Napoleon. A mercantilist orientation for research, where universities pressure their professors to do research to increase the fame of the universities and the income of their cities. So the universities will say, you do research, so that the owners of the university, the princes and the dukes, can say, my university is better because I have these professors, they have these books. The other duke will say, no, my university is better. I have these professors, they have more books than your professors. And the city, of course, will prosper because the students will be there, rowdy students, they will drink, they will gamble, they will be there, but they will pay. The cities will become richer. Professors who are lured to do research at the expense of their teaching functions. Meaning to say, you are a professor, you should do research so that our university will become famous. I will pay you more. The ranking system was invented. Okay, ranking system was invented. Okay, a little bit increase in your salary, you produce more, very efficient. It was invented at the time. And since you are paid better, professors are tempted to do research at the expense of teaching. They will say, bye-bye teaching. I'm focused more on my research. There is now this tension between research and teaching in these modern universities, or modernizing universities. Universities and professors who felt threatened the expensive venture. Smaller classes, very specialized, very trained professors, very expensive professors. In Europe, a professor is like a general. You pay the professor the salary of a general. Of course, we don't agree. In the Philippines, if you pay us like a general, no, thank you. No, thank you. Professors have higher salary in the Philippines. To ensure that this financial support will not deteriorate into a policy of interference in the future, Humboldt preferred that grants should be in the form of long-term land endowments. Okay, so don't give us annual allocation. Give us endowment, land. And we're going to take care of this. And we're going to use the income from this land to finance the university. We can plan long range with this. Not every year we're going to ask, this is our budget, we're going to justify this, and then the legislative body will say, cut. We cannot plan. So Humboldt said, give us land, we're going to plan. We should be autonomous. Then, aside from the provision of grants and the assurance of autonomy, the state should also monitor the university to prevent its institutional structures from deteriorating. Humboldt is particularly concerned with the recruitment of professors. If the universities are left alone to recruit its professors, they could easily deteriorate into a situation of nepotism and giving preferences to friends and political allies. So the state must appoint the professors. It's I think Humboldt was able to see it. If you're very close to your student, you are working with your student very closely, then it will be very tempting to you to say, okay, you will be the next professor. Because you're very close to this. And that's not good. Get the best professor from somewhere. If the student is really the best, let him compete with the others who are the best also. Thus, in the Humboldtian University, the professors are appointed by the state. After all the trouble of putting up the modern research university, providing it with grants and autonomy, as well as monitoring its continued institutional integrity, the state finally reaps its rewards. The university provides the state with knowledge, science, that it needs to fuel its socio-economic and cultural development. The university also provides the state with superior and intelligent citizens who will work for the progress and development of the state. Humboldt believes that research, education, received by the student in a modern university would eventually provide them with a formation, cultivation. Again, this is the word that appeared this afternoon, Bildung, that they will need as cultured and dedicated citizens of the state. Okay, so in other educational theory, you will get Bildung through liberal education, through liberal arts, through general education. But in Humboldt says no, in the university, no more liberal education, no more general education. When you go to the university, you have seminars, very few seminars, and then we do the research. We do the actual research. How are you going to mature in that sense? As you question the world, as you question the society with your research, as you question your specimen, you will mature. Humboldt made that assurance. You will mature. Through research, you will mature. Don't worry. Humboldt emphasized that the modern university and the state may disagree on some short-term issues, but in the end, the goals of the state and the goals of the university are one and the same: progress and development. We will attain progress and development. Just don't interfere with us, Humboldt told Wilhelm Friedrich. Humboldt did not only focus his philosophy of education on reforming the university or in creating the Berlin University. He also rationalized the diverse learning institutions that were found in many German cities and states. Primary schools, secondary schools, universities, specialized schools, academies. Academies are the associations of scientists or learned individuals. Anatomical theaters, libraries, museums, menageries, or small zoos, mini zoos, and botanical gardens. So, the primary school provides the fundamentals of learning. The secondary school, the German gymnasium, provides broad general knowledge, science, in preparation for specialization in the specialized schools or in the modern university. Knowledge, science here can remain as traditionally conceived, done and static knowledge. It's okay, since that's just preparatory. In Humboldt's philosophy of education, liberal education happens in the secondary school because the university will have very specialized approach to education in a very different manner. The specialized schools may be absorbed by the modern university if it is University of Berlin to focus on research. Clark University started as a purely graduate level university, however open, really used for pedagogy. Bienvenido Gonzalez, an agricultural scientist trained in Johns Hopkins, give us Hutch, give us Adams, give us Smith lever. No, not for you, not for you. The American model of the research university was focused on the graduate level. The University of the Philippines started with the burden of providing undergraduate education to the newly colonized country. So the focus there was a mismatch. The American Research University, research happens here. UP started here at the undergraduate level. So even if America wanted to, they could not, because the graduate program in UP was simply too weak at the beginning. The University of the Philippines was simply expanding too fast at the undergraduate level. So the expansion was so fast. It was simply so fast. And the population also expanded so fast. When UP was established, there were only 10 million Filipinos. Now, maybe 10 million, 110 million maybe. So the population was simply expanding too fast. The University of the Philippines was disrupted by the Second World War and its consequent burden of reconstruction. You cannot do research. Too expensive. You are building up your structures. You are rebuilding your university. You cannot pursue research. Very expensive. And the University of the Philippines had to compete for the budgetary allocation with a growing number of state universities, okay? Provincial universities that lobbied to be named state universities. It's crazy. You think of California. You think of California. I don't know how many state universities California has. But definitely not 100. For us, I think we have more than 100 state universities, or almost 100 state universities. The state simply cannot give you quality education. It is so many. Maybe you can call them, some of them community colleges or so, but not state universities. If you name them state universities, then you are obliged to give them substantial funds. And you cannot have one robust research university because you dissipated your fund. Then I will stop here. I cannot continue. I ran out of time. So my discussion here for CHED is that I examined 3 documents. NERA, that's the National Higher Educational Research Agenda 2. Then I examined CMO 46 Series 2012, the famous typology document. Then I examined CMO 52 Series of 2016. Wonderful document. I think this is the promise. Okay, if we can sustain this CMO 52 Series of 2016, then I think there's a hope for our education. But the problem is we're not talking about research universities. We're still talking about universities in general. But I think this is our hope. So my point is that we cannot transform all universities in the country into research universities. But at least we must have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 research universities that will fuel our economic, political, and social development. If we don't have that, I think, how can we compete with the knowledge economy? How can we compete with the ASEAN economies if we don't have our own research university? That's why our innovation index is so low, because we don't have that research university in the country. I'm open for questions. I cannot see
Thank you very much, Dr. Demeterio. Questions, please, from the audience? Just like this morning, please state your name and the institution that you may be representing. Yes, sir.
I'm Kevin Nera, graduate student here. It's sad that you weren't able to talk about CHED. I worked for CHED the past 2 years, and we were part of the group that proposed grants for the humanities to be included in CMO 52 series of 2016. I guess for everyone's information, all policies that are issued by CHED pertaining to research are actually consulted with FERNET and HERSI. FERNET refers to the Philippine Higher Education Research Network, which is basically the leading research universities in the country. So what I'd like to say is, whatever policy that CHED releases about research, it was consulted with people from the universities which we belong to. So there are representatives from UP, Ateneo, LaSalle, UST, the different state universities all over the country. So whenever we criticize CHED, I would caution everyone as well. Now, whether you find CHED's pronouncements on research as beneficial or you have something against it, remember that a representative, most likely a representative from your university, approved or disapproved certain provisions. That is why in CMO 52, in as much as it emphasizes the grants go up until 15 million for transdisciplinary research, which should involve at least 3 disciplines. And the idea is that you should have 10 people participating in a 15 million grant that should at least have 3 disciplines, so all of you would increase publications that are not only in one discipline but cuts across several disciplines. Yes, it is progressive in the sense of combining research and extension, but you'll see that the priority areas are focused on STEM and social sciences, and there is no mention about the arts. And one of the main reasons is that when we consulted this, aside from the usual bias in CHED of the existing directors, the representatives from the universities, UST included, they said now we should prioritize STEM and basically we should prioritize everything that has added value to the country. And we see how they view the arts. So I guess just an insight from someone who was inside the institution.
I think the problem with us, even if we consult all Filipinos, all our educational leaders, I think many of us are simply not aware of Humboldt, the Humboldtian revolution. I studied here in UST, I never heard of Humboldt. I studied in UP, I never heard of Humboldt. I only heard about Humboldt's reform when I started working as a research manager in LaSalle. And I'm one of the advocates of Humboldt in LaSalle. If you're going to the LaSalle and count the people who knows Humboldt, maybe I'm the only one also, for some of my few. So it simply is my talk this afternoon is intended to generate ideas about that great revolution in Germany that we missed. We simply missed that, and we cannot go on blaming the Americans, blaming the Spaniards. I think we have to do something, and if we don't know what we missed, then it's really a big problem for us. So what I mean is, even if we ask the universities, even if we ask representatives from the universities, mostly they are not aware of Humboldt. So I think that's a great problem. I'm only happy that I think Dr. Vanillo, you know Dr. Vanillo, right? He's from Cornell. And he corrected, very important, I'm going to tell you now, one very important thing in CMO 52 is the concept of extension. For a long time, we twisted the definition of extension as community service. Extension is not community service. Extension is you return to the community, you return to the society the products of your research, the products of your teaching. For us who are not doing research, we return to the society used clothing, sardines, pancit canton. That's not extension. But CMO 52 corrected that. So I'm very happy that CMO 52 is there. The only thing is we should implement CMO 52. We should implement it.
Yes, sir, if I may. This is actually one of the concerns of Director Napji. He said that, well, there is a preferential bias in CHED to fund research-capable universities, which are just the big universities. And in terms of funding research, smaller universities, the current trend in CHED right now is not to fund small research universities. And the argument is that they have not shown their capacity to do research, so we shouldn't fund them. And then the people would say, how can we prove our capacity to do research if you won't fund us to do research? So that's the chicken and egg problem that is being faced by the commission. I guess just to provide some insights for your consideration.
I'm not even worried why if CHED would not fund humanities research. I'm not even worried about that, because you can always fund it from somewhere. NCCA, we have so much fund, and National Research Council of the Philippines, we have so much money there.
So there's actually a MOA now between CHED and NCCA for the paper.
Yes, yeah. So we have enough. I think we have enough grants, but no takers. I think no takers. So.
Thank you. Before we continue, let me acknowledge the presence of our dean, Dr. Megman Tomas. Question from Professor Tablet.
This is just a reaction, and I guess updating the insight of one formerly from chair. It's also good that CMO 52 was mentioned, and it's a pity that we have no time for our dear professor here to expound on it. And it's also worth noting that even right now, CMO number 52 is also being, I think there will be some changes or amendments to make it more, I would say, Humboldtian in approach. In fact, it's also good that Dr. Nap Juanillo was mentioned, because in fact I was telling him that the problem is the moment Dr. Nakwanillo will leave the chair, because I think his appointment is also coterminous with Dr. Likwanan. Sometime later, the appointment will end sometime March 2018. So I told him that your problem is that will there be people from chair who will speak up. But essentially, just to improve a little or correct a little the statement, well, I'm meeting Dr. Nat Vanillo actually next week. There are some discussion because I'm so happy that I was able to represent the faculty members in the last higher education summit. The point is right now, there will be, that's why they, in their two project, which is 15 million, the maximum, they made some amendments to it, and that's why it's not yet being released. Hopefully it will be released sometime April 15 or even, and their target is June. I was saying, dapat April pa lang, ma-release na. But anyway, I think what is important there is this one, no? It's not just the STEM anymore. It's not just the STEM. They are now saying that because it's just the STEM, then if you have no differentiation with DOST scholarship. So right now what they wanted is that it is, if it is STEM, it should also be connected with the social sciences and also with the humanities, and how you can intermarry the two. And that's the challenge for those who are going to propose for the grant. So I think if you have a higher, your proposal can jive on that particular purpose, then you will have a higher chances of getting it. Another thing is that I think is very, very important is that right now the schools will be required in that under their two that you are not supposed to deal only with universities of your level. In fact, the silo mentality is being erased by CO number 52. You cannot anymore stick with your discipline. But I think there's something that is more advanced in these new amendments. I think they mentioned about the fact that if you are a higher HEI, you have to connect with a small school as part of your proposal. It cannot be, let's say, among UST, LaSalle, UP researchers alone. The improvement now, I think, is in going to, let's say, if I am from UST, I'm a well-established researcher, I have to connect with a beginner researcher in a smaller school. I think that's a wonderful idea. That's just a reaction.
But that's true.
Thank you, Professor Tante. Professor Bolaños.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Demeterio, for the very informative and quite inspiring presentation. Yeah, I think I'm also Humboldtian in terms of how you presented Wilhelm von Humboldt's educational revolution. But I think the times or the milieu of Humboldt is radically different from. In other words, the challenges they had during his time were very different from the challenges we have today. For example, I think one of the reasons, which you mentioned also in your presentation, one of the reasons why the University of Berlin became successful was because the humanities became the center of the university. And it's the same thing today in Germany. All universities, all research universities, the center is always the humanities. But it's different. CHED has a bias against the humanities. CMO 52, it's underway. We don't exactly know what it is yet. The original version is biased against the humanities. We have a totally different challenge. So in other words, while Humboldt, the vision of Humboldt provides us with hope,
I'm not sure if by simply mentioning Humboldt, we'll be able to change the minds of our policymakers. And so yes, we have to look at CMO 52, but I think for example, the idea of interdisciplinary research, for example, I think that's one of the most misunderstood idea or concepts or items. I think the version that Professor Tadley shared is, for me, more I think more acceptable. I mean, if I am a philosopher, what interdisciplinarity means for me is that I have to work with someone from another discipline, which is fine. If the nature of my research calls for it. But I don't think Humboldt and Kant and Hegel, Schopenhauer had the same problem of interdisciplinarity. So I mean that it's just an observation.
I think it's more on translation. Really. We have to translate. We have to translate that idea, that revolution, into our own terms. Just like what America did. They translated Humboldt into their own context. But for us, we never even bothered.
Exactly. But I agree with you. But at the same time, I think with in the process of appropriating these things, there are things that we simply avoid, things that we simply ignore. For example, what is the role of the humanities in the university?
In fact, it disappeared in America.
Exactly. When and in the UK, where they have started to close down good departments of philosophy and literature. But it's not happening in Germany, by the way.
Yeah. Something happened. Something was lost in the process of translation.
Yes.
Yes, some remark to Sir's comment. The Dare to grant that you were actually mentioning, I was part of the group that wrote the policy for that, and we had to fight tooth and nail with a lot of old academics. If you notice, the Dare to grant is just one paragraph in CMO 52. And we had to fight for that. The inclusion of that, and as well as the emphasis on including the other side, the humanities and social sciences, as well as including people who will have no teaching load, so that people who have no teaching load right now will do research and will get funding. So I'm just highlighting the fact that it's really
not supposed to be there. It's not supposed to be there. It's a different document. Because
and we had to fight
CMO
for it
52
to
is
be
more long term. Then you inserted something that is short term there.
I think one more question. Yes, sir. Brother, is more appropriate.
I'm participating in the seminary and this is Central Seminary. I just have a couple of comments in the presentation. I took my college and my master's degree in engineering, and the way I look at it, I mean, coming from the culture, research there is, I think, it's something that should be mentioned in this critique. Research there is not to achieve knowledge, but more of as a service to the people. I remember it is not unusual for us to have undergraduate theses or graduate theses which are part of bigger UP projects. And their first question when we present our thesis, even in the masters, was what will be the effect to the people? And if you consider, I saw the graphs, and I consider UP as one system because I took my college in Lustanas, I took my masters in Delman. And the way I look at it, for a university wherein an assistant professor earns 30,000 pesos a month, and it's very low. I think it's lower than instructors in other universities, and you still put out that much research material. And for another thing is, I think really the telos of it is service and the people's welfare. For example, in humanities, in the critique, why there is not that much focus on humanities. While I would agree with that, I also understand where the other side is coming from. If the normal Filipino is not able to eat, then the focus on research would be on agriculture. If the normal Filipino has a hard time, he cannot think of his philosophy in life, you cannot think of his brand of what. The focus is on the material. If we can go back to Maxwell, survival. So I think that's something that we should be looking at if we look at Philippine higher education as a whole.
Yes. I would like to make some follow up to that comment. There was this great leader also, Dioscoro Umali. You're familiar. Okay, so Dioscoro Umali was president of dean or president of Los Baños, and during his time he said we should not be concerned about publishing a high impact journal. Our concern is to bring the knowledge to the Filipino people. So very impressive in UP Los Baños that they will give promotion to faculty members who can produce pamphlets, who can produce video productions for farmers. So maybe that will explain why the graph of at least of UP Los Baños is not doing well. It's not doing well actually, because they have that concession in their university, and that's something good. It's something good. In fact, I'm using Scopus because I have no other data to use. In fact, I have a proposal now in the LaSalle. We're going to create the Philippine Citation Index because we cannot wait for CHED. Otherwise, we were forced to use Scopus. If you are paying ISI, maybe you can give me bibliometric from ISI. But something really very good happened in Los Baños, and I admire that. That's Humboldtian. The university for the people. The only thing is, there must be more collaboration between students and faculty. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, To award the certificate of appreciation, may I call the director, the chair of the department, Associate Professor Paula Bolaños, and the dean of the Faculty of Arts and Letters. The certificate reads, Pontifical and Royal University of Santo Tomas, Faculty of Arts and Letters, Department of Philosophy, in cooperation with the USC College of